What's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. In today's video, we're going to be talking about debt that's being sold onto the market. I haven't made a video about this in a while since my wife had her lung transplant. She's doing very well. Just the ups and downs with the pains you can imagine if they open you up and do all that stuff inside, you're gonna have pain, but she's dealing with it. But best of all is that she's breathing without any assistance from any oxygen. She can move around. Yesterday we uh, had to do the snow blowing at our house, and for the first time in 5 years, probably 5 years, might be even be longer, that she didn't. She was able to help. She was able to help. She doesn't get tired like she has young, new lungs that just gives her all the energy that she's wanted. Uh, Also, before I get started talking about the debt that's being sold on the market, and we're going to talk about solutions on what to do if debt collectors buy your debt and they try to come after you. We're going to talk about the solution on that too. But there's big frenzies out there with people buying stock. You saw where GameStop flew up, and now everybody's got their eyes on AMC. And what made me bring up the story, because I'm in the stock market, but I don't play the way with all like what all these people are doing. I just buy good companies and let them, let them grow. And yes, I get lucky on some, and some of them not so lucky. But I must admit that 2020, for all of the stuff that went down in 2020 with the virus, my stock portfolio uh, quadrupled. I mean, I'm talking about uh, some of the days the earnings that I would make was $10,000 to $15,000 just in one day, and that's not with me day trading and all of that junk. All I do is buy and hold, and they just skyrocketed. Uh, but everybody is jumping on these because they see an opportunity. And what I believe, what not what I believe, what I've with my research and what I know from what's happened is uh, when is that they've actually just flipped it on the people that have all these hedge funds and these big billion dollar companies. They flipped it on them because one of the biggest problems that happens some of the times, and people don't know this, is that to sell a stock, you have to have somebody that's willing to buy a stock. Well, the reason why this happened with GameStop, like just to bring it down to layman's level, like to the bottom level, is that when people were buying the stock, and that obviously that makes it rise up, but there was hedge funds on the other end that had actually bet against the stock way before all of this happened. And so for them to be able to, uh, you know, if they wanted to hold their position and keep hoping that the stock would go down, they had to keep adding money. So if they bet the stock would go down to $4 and the stock was at $20, and it was consistently going down, and then when that stock went up and past the $20, they have to pay to stay to keep their position. They have to pay that extra money. So if it went to $24, they got to pay. If it went to $100, they had to pay. But guess what? The stock went up, and I'm not sure if they've pulled their positions. The stock today is at $311, and if I chart it, it had actually went up to $350. That's why the hedge fund companies were like, we have to sell. They lost billions of dollars because they had to pay out of those positions when they put those contracts to uh, to buy, where they're going to short the stock. You don't just get to short it, and then if you lose, you just lose what you put in. You will actually lose the difference. The difference, you have to pay that difference. And that's why they're screaming. So right now, everybody's eyes is on AMC. And I told my wife I wanted to go ahead and buy 1,000 shares of the AMC. Today, right now, it's at 16. It closed at 13. So that I'd have to push out a little over $16,000. Um, One of my neighbors, who's a school teacher but also makes money with stock, he is in all of these groups, and he believes that the stock is going to dip at the open and then it's going to jump up. I haven't made my decision on it. And I don't really like playing stocks that way. I don't like to get into stuff to where I got to constantly watch it like that unless it's like a business that I'm opening. So I'll let you know if I decide to jump in on that. I don't know, but also my wife was like, "Hey, um, we springboard uh, ideas off each other." She said that she don't think it's a good idea, solely just because of the way that we make our money. With the way that we invest, it's not that one investment is better than another. It's what your tolerance, what you can tolerate as an individual, and I talk about that with credit repair also. It's like, what is your tolerance on getting yourself out of debt and repairing your credit? Because a lot of people quit. A lot of people don't have a tolerance for investing. A lot of people don't have a tolerance for getting themselves out of debt. And a lot of people don't have a tolerance for what it'll take to really get yourself your credit repaired the right way. A lot of people don't have that tolerance. They just want the quick fix. And we find that when people do the quick fixes, they didn't learn anything and they end up getting right back into trouble. So let's get into it and talk about the debt that's being sold on the market. There is a dump right here. One that I'm looking at is education debt. This is not debt that is like the student loan debt that the government is holding. These are privately held student loans. So these, one lucky thing for these individuals, if you happen to have had your debt sold, went to one of the schools where it was a private student loan, you can settle those debts for less than the total amount, because uh, they're always willing to do that, because number one, they're paying for $638,000 worth of debt. They're only asking $13,000 for the debt. So average balance is $3,416. The charge-off date is 2017. So that's kind of recent. Let's go to the next one. We got a mixed group of lenders, credit card lenders, 5.1 million dollars, 1,700 accounts. Charge-off date is from 2005 to 2010. We're going to talk about that in a second. Average balance $3,042. They're selling the whole batch for $5,000. Let's go here. Look at the next one. We got a $5 million batch of old debt, 1,907 accounts. This one also charge off. Let me just make sure this is not the same one. Yeah, not the same one. Uh, 2005 to 2010, average balance $2,600. Selling that whole group for $4,500. And let's go here. We got another group, credit cards nationwide, $4.9 million, 4,550 accounts. Average charge-off date, or the charge-off dates on these was 2011. Average balance $1,098. They're selling the whole batch for $6,000. And let's see what we got here. We got the big batches. All of these are major credit cards. $69.6 million, 4,700 accounts. Charge-off date 2008. $60.1 million, 3,715 accounts. Charge-off date 2008. 243 $0.3 million. Charge-off date 2007. I think I've mentioned that one once before. They probably just haven't sold that batch. Average balance $5,300. There's another one, $56 million, 9,053 accounts, 2006. Charge-off date $6,242 average balance. That's what makes that attractive for them to want to go after these people with that. And then there's some other ones here, 32 million, 28 million, charge off date 2005 and 2008, another the 32 million, 2008 to 2015 on the charge off date. So now let's get into the solution. Step one, get your piece of paper out. Get your piece of paper out. Step one, what you do to stop debt collectors who are buying your outdated debt. Step one, first thing we want to do is we want to get a copy of all 3 credit reports. I suggest that you do that from a paid monitoring service. The free ones don't give you everything that you're going to need, and you can go right here to the number 3scores.com. That's one way that I support the channel. Please go there, get your reports, and I want you to do this as soon as you get them. I want you to look at the reports, and I want you to look at the charge-off date on that credit, on that specific item. Now, this is also, let me back up a little bit because I got a little bit ahead of myself. This is also after you've received a demand letter demanding that you pay a debt. So you may not know who's bought your debt. If you look at it on your credit reports, you have that on there. So we'll take it from, let's back up and then we'll get to that part where they're on your credit report. So you're going to get a demand letter. They're saying, hey, this is so-and-so credit collection agency, and we're collecting the debt for this company. This is the original creditor, and we demand that you pay this money. And then they squeeze in a little paragraph if you want to dispute this debt. So the first thing you do is you go look at your credit reports, get them from the website here if you don't have a paid monitoring service. Look at the charge-off date on there. The reason why you want to look at the charge-off date is because the next thing you're going to do is go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com, and that's posted right here. Go to my blog, and I want you to look at the statute of limitations for debt. Now, if it's credit card debt, you're going to go in the 4th column where it said it's considered an open credit account, the 4th column. And then you're going to look at the statute of limitations for collecting a debt in your state. It's different for every state. I wish it was the same for every state. It's different for every state. Some states are 3 years. Some states are, a few states are 10 years, and one state is 15 years. Most states are in that 3 to 5 to 6 year range on a debt that can be collected if they don't get a judgment against you. That means, let me make it clear, that means that if they have not gotten a judgment against you and they send that demand letter, like they buy the debt that I just talked about here, send a demand letter. All you have to do, if it's past the statute of limitations, is send them a letter stating that the debt that they're trying to collect is past the statute of limitations, and you want them to cease and desist all collection activity. That's what you do. Now you're saying, where do I get that letter? What do I say? How do I say it? I'm giving you that free letter. Below this video, there's a link to get the cease and desist letter. Now, this is not a cease and desist letter for a debt that can be collected. This is a cease and desist letter for debt that cannot be collected. So I want to be 100% clear on that, because some people get a little bit confused when they hear cease and desist for a debt collector. It's cease and desist to collection activities due to it being past statute of limitations. The legal statute of limitations to collect a debt in your state. Now, and that letter is below this video. You can click and get that letter. Now, the next one that you do, if it's past the legal statute of limitation, the game is not over yet. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to do a debt validation, because a lot of these companies do not get everything to prove that you have to pay the debt. There's a lot of things that they have to get. They have to get an affidavit from the original creditor. They have to get your complete account number, not a partial account number, because that'd be like you walking into a bank saying, "That's my account, and here is the last four of my account number." They're not gonna play it that way. They want the whole account number. A debt collector must have that complete account number. Debt collector must have all of your statements. Debt collector must have your original contract. Debt collector must know all of the payments and everything that you made for that account, because you could dispute anything about that account. And what I tell people to do is dispute everything about the account, because they have to prove that, number one, the account is yours. Number two, everything about the account, and they have to prove how they are legally able to come after you for the account. Obviously, they're buying a debt, but when they disclose how they get it, they don't just buy one debt at a time. They buy them in batches, and a lot of the times they don't want to disclose all of that information because they're really not paying they're not paying what they're trying to come after you for. And in some states, and if you push it uh, very hard, they cannot legally say that that total amount that they claim you owe was from their company. They have to really craft in court their documentation and everything to show that assignment, and that they're able to come after you for that total amount. You can push them to the limit, but look, we'll talk about that in another video. But what I want you to do is I want you to get my debt validation letter, and that link is also below this video. And if you get that demand letter, and you check statute of limitation and it's not past the legal statute of limitations to collect, send that demand letter. That demand letter will get a lot of them to pull back and stop, because they don't want to run into any trouble when trying to collect these old debts from the ones that they bought from these original creditors. They don't want that trouble. They want to go after the easy people. And so what you need to do is you need to send them a good, complete debt validation that'll make them at least think, hey, if we go and we push against this person and take them to court, we probably have a chance of losing, because look, the debt validation that they submitted, we didn't even expect them to even know that we had to have this information to prove that they had to pay the debt. So that's what you do. That is below this video for that link there. So that is your homework. I know these debt collectors, when it gets to be income tax time, they start to send people these demand letters. They start to buy uh, batches, big, huge batches of debt, of old debt, because they know people are going to start getting their income taxes in. And in some states, they allow people they allow them to attach income taxes. And there's also some states like Minnesota that actually allows people to not even have a judgment, and they can go after you if they just submit a document to the court stating that you owe that debt. And if you don't respond to it, they have very lenient laws on allowing debt collectors to do all types of things. That's why you'll see some of the debt collectors home base in the state of Minnesota. So I'm going to end the video here. I want you to subscribe to my channel. We have some good things coming up. We're going to have a interview very soon that I'm putting together with a young lady that is going after hard credit acceptance. She's done some very good work. She had to do a lawsuit for herself, and she's also been helping other YouTube uh, viewers with their problems with credit acceptance. So please subscribe to the channel, ask your questions, post your comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of the CreditRepairShop.com. Thank you, and until next time.